Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a news update. We'll have a look at some of the stories that have caught my attention in the press here today in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. Before I begin, a big thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the super thanks option on YouTube, my longer term supporters on Patreon, and my new channel members. A big thanks, as I said, to people supporting the channel. Now, straight into the news and inflation here in Spain when it comes to certain food products making headlines today. Inflation here in Spain, as we know, has been an issue over the last couple of years. Well, not only here in Spain, but around the world in general, inflation has been an issue. And there's some good news and bad news when it comes to inflation. The good news is that some products are cheaper, but the bad news is that some products continue to rise in price. As we can read here, milk, pizzas, legumes, prices continue to rise, but some foods cost less than a year ago. Food and non-alcoholic beverages in Spain are today 30.7% more expensive than 4 years ago and accumulate 30 consecutive months of sustained rises. In April, they increased by 0.7% compared to March, making them 4.7% more expensive than in the same month of 2023. Although its upward trend has been unstoppable, the final April data published Tuesday show that there are now 14 foods that do cost less than last year. These are some oils such as sunflower, rapeseed, soybean, corn, peanut, palm, almond, and coconut, which are 18.8% cheaper than in April 2023. Prepared pizza and quiche, down 6.5%. Fresh vegetables, down 4.5%. Baby food, down 4.5%. Milk, skim milk is 2.5% cheaper, and whole milk is 0.2% cheaper. Dairy products such as rice pudding, custard, flan, milkshakes, and fresh cream, which are down 2.5%, and canned fruit, mainly in syrup, which are down 2.5% cheaper than in April 2023. So there we go. Some food products continue to rise, but some have reduced in price. For example, some of the oils that we saw there, but not olive oil, and that is the big oil sold here in Spain, and that unfortunately still continues to rise in price. But if you are a fan of supermarket pizzas, you are in luck, because the price of that product is down 6.5% on last year. Now, the second piece of news we'll look at today, and it's a strange story involving the Catholic Church, because as we can read here, a community of nuns has left the Catholic Church after Rome bans the sale of one of its convents. The conflict over the sale of a property has caused a divine rupture. The religious community of Clarisas de Belorado in Burgos and Orduña, Vizcaya, has decided to leave the Catholic Church. The abbess of the community, Sister Isabel de la Trinidad, has recognized Pius XII as the last valid pontiff and has accused subsequent popes of heresy. The Clarissas will now pass to the tutelage and jurisdiction of Pablo de Rojas Sanchez Franco, former bishop of Bilbao, who was excommunicated and now directs the so-called Pius Union Sancti Pauli Apostoli. The origin of such a radical decision is the persecution they suffer from superiors, pastors, sisters, and priests as they denounce in a communique. The straw that breaks the camel's back for them is Rome's decision to block their request to sell a convent they own. So there we go, a group of nuns in the north of Spain not happy with the Catholic Church and have decided to leave. And they've decided to join a group that is led by the ex-bishop of Bilbao, who, as we saw there, was excommunicated in the past by the Catholic Church. And another interesting thing about these nuns is that they don't recognize the current pope, and in fact they haven't recognized the pope since Pius XII. And I think he was in charge of the Catholic Church back in the 1930s, but don't quote me on that date. So a strange piece of news, as I said. And the final piece of news we'll look at today, and it's another strange piece of news because it's about a beer in the UK that pretends to be Spanish, has become very popular, but in fact is not Spanish at all. And as we can read here, the strange case of Madrid, the English beer that pretends to be Spanish and is very popular. Sales of Spanish beers in England increased by 73% in 2022. In Scotland, the rise was 137%. 1 in 5 pints dispensed in England and 1 in 7 in Scotland is sold as Spanish, according to data released by Heineken in November 2023, when it launched a campaign to promote the UK relaunch of Cruzcampo, the Sevillian brand it owns. Estrella Damm bought a brewery in Bedford last year, and Mal became very popular a few years ago for a campaign in which it tried to explain to consumers how to pronounce its name. Why the inverted commas in the previous paragraph on Spanish beers? Because their good name is already so widespread that there are beers that are not Spanish but strive to look like it. Madrid Excepcional is the most striking example. Its label shows a virile chulapo and a slogan written in Spanish, El alma de Madrid, the soul of Madrid, and in smaller letters it reads Discover the soul of Madrid, as if the world has gone mad and brands all over the world put random words in Spanish and not in English to give themselves a sophisticated air. So there we go, the very strange case of a beer in the UK that pretends to be Spanish but is not. And here is the beer in question, Madrid Excepcional, Discover the soul of Madrid. And it seems that the British have been taken in by this beer hook, line and sinker, thinking that they are drinking a Spanish brew, but it's not the case. And another thing in that article that caught my attention is that the sale of Spanish beers in 2022 was up 73% in England, and in Scotland a whopping 137%. So what's going on there? I've got no idea, but it seems that real Spanish beers and fake Spanish beers are serious players in the British market. Let me know your favourite brew of choice in the comment section below. Now let's have a look at some comments left on videos recently. One here from Tom: in Catalonia there's always some election campaign going on. Yeah, Tom, thanks for the comment, and you could get the impression living in parts of Spain, especially Catalonia, that there is always an election campaign going on. Of course it's not true. There's only election campaigns on when there is an election, but of course here in Spain, with 3 tiers of government, or 4 tiers of government if you include the European Union, there are a lot of election campaigns happening. Catalonia, as an autonomous community here in Spain, recently held elections, but there was no clear winner, so there's a fairly good chance that they might have to repeat those elections. Let's hope that that is not the case. One here from Laf: love Spain, but the political division and bureaucracy are simply overwhelming. Yeah, Laf, thanks for the comment, and it is easy to be put off Spain by the 2 things that you mentioned there, political division and bureaucracy, but let's be honest, those 2 things are not unique to Spain. Political division seems to be an issue in many countries around the world, and don't get me started on bureaucracy, because I reckon I'd struggle to find 10 countries in the world where bureaucracy is not an issue. But as a lot of us know, bureaucracy here in Spain is an issue. It never seems to get any better, and there are a lot more political parties here in Spain than there were 20 years ago, and that has increased political division. So although we try hard to love Spain, sometimes it can be difficult. One here from Tracy: those comments yesterday were very true. Young people pay into more monthly subscriptions. The internet, mobile phones, maybe Netflix, or insurance for the dog or cat. Yeah, Tracy, thanks for the comment, and related to a discussion that was going on in the chat section on yesterday's live stream about which generation has it better, the current generations or previous generations when it comes to living well. Lots of banter being thrown around yesterday in the live chat, some people arguing that it was tougher to get a start in life a few generations ago, some people saying that it was easier, and some people saying that the younger generations of today have it very, very tough indeed. But it could be their own fault. As Tracy points out there is a lot more temptation around nowadays when it comes to spending money. And a lot of the things that young people spend their money on nowadays didn't exist 20 or 30 years ago. For example, mobile phones and Netflix subscriptions. And of course, insurance for your family pet was never even contemplated. But of course, nowadays, all of these things suck the money out of your bank account as soon as the month starts. So who had it easier and who had it tougher? The previous generations or the younger generations of today? Let me know your opinion in the comment section below. One here from Dawn: this topic of public drinking and purchasing alcohol is interesting. You mentioned the difference between states in the US, but there are even differences between counties. Ohio, where I'm from, for example, has dry counties where you can't even even buy alcohol. Its prohibition laws are still in place. Yeah, Dawn, thanks for the comment and thanks for the interesting information about alcohol laws in the United States, especially the state where you are from, Ohio. And I had no idea that there are dry counties there where you can't buy alcohol at all. I know that there are some dry communities in Australia where you can't buy alcohol, especially in some of the remote areas where some Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people have a serious problem with alcohol abuse. And I imagine it's the same issue in Ohio, and that's why alcohol is prohibited there. But if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comment section below. One here from Giles: scones in Devon, Stu. It's easy to get a good scone in Barcelona. Yeah, Giles, thanks for the comment. And this is also something that popped up in yesterday's live stream, the topic of teas and scones and things like that. I mentioned that in Australia we have a concept called the Devonshire tea. Apparently it's unique to Australia. Nobody had heard of that in England. Don't know why that is, but basically it's a cup of tea or coffee that you accompany with a scone topped with jam and cream. And we also spoke about which of those two things do you put on first. Do you put the cream on first? Do you put the jam on first? Or vice versa? Personally, I put the jam on first and then the cream on top. But hey, each to their own when it comes to scones. And funny that you can get a decent scone in Barcelona, because here in Madrid, I don't think I have ever seen a scone for sale. So there could be a business opportunity there. One here from Jose Antonio: the land where Gibraltar Airport is located is outside what was conceded in the Treaty of Utrecht. We've never had a problem with that. The Isle of Perejil perhaps has more surface. The idea of sharing the airports merits attention. It may benefit everyone and would be fair. Yeah, Jose Antonio, thanks for the comment. And this is a hot topic at the moment in Spanish politics, the dealings that are going on between Spain and the UK when it comes to Gibraltar. Heavy negotiations going on between those two countries currently, trying to come to an agreement on what will happen going forward with that part of Spain and Gibraltar, given that everything changed with the Brexit referendum. One of the main sticking points in the negotiation is the Gibraltar airport, and I think Spain is trying to get shared use of that airport. And of course, if that happens, it will have major implications for that part of Spain, the part of Spain that they call the Campo de Gibraltar. So we'll see what happens with regard to this issue. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has said that he's going to talk about this issue on the 22nd of May, so we'll wait and see what he has to say. And let's hope they come to an agreement that is beneficial for both parties. And the final comment here from Single698: Spain, how boring, even worse now with all its new rules. Nothing to offer but beaches and beer, and they want to try and stop tourists from using it. Well, keep it for yourselves, then hope you can keep all those businesses up and running. You will need all of the migrants in Europe to help you out in running things on the cheap. Yes, Single698, thanks for the comment, and I must say that this is one of the most ignorant comments that I have seen on the channel in a long time. Spain has nothing to offer but beaches and beer. What an absolute you must be. And the rules and regulations are being put in place because people like you take the absolute piss when you come to the country. And if you ever do come back to Spain, my suggestion would be to step outside the confines of Magaluf or Benidorm and experience some of the 50 UNESCO World Heritage Sites that Spain has to offer. That's right, there are 50 in the country. So pull your head out of your open your eyes and experience the true Spain. You won't be disappointed. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.